Like everything else, it's complicated.
Yes.
I wish I could give you a simple answer, but there just isn't one. Anything that contributes to a student feeling depressed, rejected, maybe enraged by mistreatment, anything like that, any external stressor can be one more factor if they're already at risk of being on that path. But then we have to remember that most kids are picked on to some extent at some point in their school. A study by the American Psychological Association found that between primary and secondary school, like 70% of students are picked on. And very, very few will commit an act of violence, certainly not a mass school shooting. And when we look at perpetrators themselves, some of them had been picked on. Some, it was at the level of teasing, but for some it was physical assault. These were kids who were being beaten up, and not just one time. So in some cases, that was a major issue. But we don't see that in all the cases. In some cases, the shooters weren't bullied at all. And in some cases, they were the bullies. The school shooters were, narcissistic, abrasive, callous people who picked on other kids, and that eventually escalated into a mass attack. And in some cases, it went both ways. They got picked on, they picked on others, so it's hard to tease out how important that was. Now, one way of understanding motivation is through the principle of victim selection. Who were the targets? Now, a lot of school shootings have no specific targets. They're just random attacks against anyone. They just want to kill as many people as possible. But a fair number of school shootings have one or more intended victims. And in my last book, I looked at 48 perpetrators and divided the victims into categories. Only one out of the 48 went out of his way to find and kill a kid who had picked on him. And he only did that at the instigation of a couple of his buddies who suggested that to him. More often, there were 3 shooters who went after rivals, like kids who were going out with their ex-girlfriend, that kind of situation. 6 of them actually killed their own family members. So if we're looking at motivation, you have to wonder what's going on in those homes. 9 of them went after girls or women, either specific individuals they felt rejected by, or misogynistic attacks against women in general. But 18 of them went after a school staff member. Teachers who failed them, gave them a bad grade, flunked them for the year, administrators who suspended or expelled them, and so on. So when we're looking at victim selection across those 48 perpetrators, 1 sought out a bully, 18 sought out school personnel, 9 sought out girls or women. So is bullying sometimes a factor? Sure, of course. But when we look at the range of victims who were specifically targeted because there was a perceived grievance or injustice, we see that it's a lot bigger than just being picked on at school.